Hello, my name is Ed, and today I'm taking you through a full tutorial on how to create good mockups that actually convert for your Etsy store. This is probably going to be the most valuable mockup tutorial which you're ever going to watch specifically for Etsy. You need mockups now, you need fully unique mockups because Etsy started banning stores that are using mockups from the internet, or their bots started banning stores because of a new rule which they implemented, which is basically where you're not allowed to use mockups that are from another product. I think that the actual rule is that you're not allowed to use mockups which aren't showing your specific product or your specific like type of t-shirt, whatever mockup you want to create. So you have to use fully unique mockups now, because otherwise the bot, no matter how big or small your store is, you're still at risk of getting your store banned, suspended permanently, and you probably won't get it back. They did a YouTuber did a seller report, and they got like 300 stores to get reviewed and see why they got banned, and it turned out like 40% of them were because of this new rule which they implemented. 40%, which is an incredibly high amount. So I'm going to take you through my full process. However, quick shameless plug, I just launched my new company, edpod.co, so if you do want me to make you mockups, which are one of one, fully unique and perfect for Etsy, I can do it for you, and it can save you the hassle of going through and creating mockups like I'm going to show you how to do today. However, if you still want to make your own mockups, you want to learn how to create them, then this tutorial is for you. So first of all, I have a selection of 6 images, and as you can see by the file names, let me make it a little bit bigger. So 8723, and it goes all the way up to 8770. So I probably took around 50 pictures, and I narrowed it down to 6. So that shows you how many pictures I take first of all, and I need to get the perfect 6. So I always take loads of different angles, and I try and get around 6 of my favourite scenes. Normally I don't make more than 4 or 5 mockups per product that I sell, because the more mockups you have, the longer it takes to copy and paste a new design onto the mockups. So I think 4 is enough. To be honest, I don't think you need more than 4, no matter what product you're selling. So let's go and this is the product, by the way. This is not a winning product. Well, it could be, but this is just a random product that I found in my house, and I thought I would use this because I'm not selling it, and I'm probably not going to sell it, so I can use this as a free mockup example. So if you did want to use this mockup, I'll leave a download link in the description or something if you want to sell this random plant pot bucket thing. So image 1 in no particular order, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is the 6th. So there's a few different angles here. Just to cover a couple things that I've actually done. First of all, it's outside in really good lighting. I've tried to take every image in the sun. I was quite restricted, as you can see by the shadows. I was quite restricted by where I could take the pictures. It was quite late in the day, so I tried to make it look as sunny as possible, even though it wasn't actually that sunny. So you can see some of the different angles as well. So this is quite a close-up shot, and this is quite a distant shot. Distant shots, which are more zoomed in, are often slightly better for covers. Just because you can see more of the product in a smaller location, whereas if you see this, it's sort of zoomed in, and it's kind of difficult to explain, but you can sort of see the perspective differences. So you can see here, it's like you can see more in the smaller space. So whereas here it's like slightly different. This just looks a little bit worse. It's kind of difficult to explain. You can probably see it. Maybe you can understand what I'm saying. And this is a picture I took like that, as you can see, just same as all the other ones. This is quite a nice one. It could work as a cover, however the lighting isn't great. I think this could be a really good cover if it had a slightly better background. I like this close-up bit with a blurry bit here. And remember, of course, we're using Photoshop, so you can always add things like this into your photos. You can always, for something like this, you can always add like a little branch or tree coming across which is blurry, which helps it to give a little bit more depth, which makes your images look more professional, a little bit better. And these are all taken on my iPhone 13 Pro. So you don't need a great camera. I used to take them on my iPhone 11. I had just a normal iPhone 11. I'm pretty sure that's like the average phone that everyone has nowadays. So you can take good mockups no matter what phone you're using. I don't really think you need a camera. Specifically for Etsy, you don't really need to have like a professional camera to make good mockups that actually convert, because it's a platform which is full of Etsy sellers which are just handmade specifically sellers, right? If you're selling on Shopify or something like that, you might need them to look a little bit more professional. But I think even now in this day and age, we're not really in that professional era so more. It's more like people are looking for the images which look a little bit more special. No one, like 10 years ago, you'd look on any website, any professional website, and it was all white background stuff. Whereas now it's more of these lifestyle photos, which do convert a lot better, a lot higher rates. So there's a few different images here. As I said, it kind of shows all the angles of the products, all the scenarios which can be used in, which is very important as well. You should always try and show the real scenarios, the real places that you're going to put this product. So I don't know, a person could put it on top of a post, on top of the steps, or they could hang it from something, which I guess this is what this photo is showing, or just random places in the garden, and then one empty picture to show what the product actually looks like raw, I guess, without the flowers in, because obviously it doesn't come with the flowers. So that's a quick breakdown of the images. By far the most important part of this is actually taking good images, because if you can't take good images, you can't make good mock-ups. You can have a good mock-up and a bad design which will still convert. If you've got a bad image and a good design, it won't convert because the product will look terrible. And people, 90% of the time, if they've got two different comparisons with the same price, same everything, but just different images, they're gonna, even if it's the same exact product, the customer might not know that, they're gonna buy the one which looks better in the images. So it's the most important thing to actually driving good conversion rates is taking good images. I'd say this is more of a skill which you build up over time with experience, knowing what to do, knowing where to put the products, etc. And of course, if I was selling like a poster, I probably wouldn't take all the images outside because people aren't going to have their posters outside. So don't just go and think, okay, I'll take all my pictures outside. It does depend on what product you're selling, and for a plant pot like this, it's perfect to take outside because that's where the customer's going to have it. So there's loads of different things you could have to take into account, or should take into account, and many more things which I'm not going to explain today. So let me hide this. I want to do this in one take so you guys can see everything that I'm doing, because with this I don't really want to miss anything out, because there's a lot of steps that you're going to need to follow, especially with actually creating the mock-up itself, and we're going to try and make it look as realistic as possible. So I think what I'm going to create is I'm probably just going to create I think we're just going to make it look like a vinyl decal, because you probably wouldn't really engrave something like this. I guess you just add like custom text in between the rivets or whatever, something. I'm not too sure. But I'm going to download these images, and when you take images with your iPhone, I don't know what Android is, but when you take images with your, let me show my screen again. When you take images with your iPhone, they'll be downloaded in HEIC format, which is not really what you want. So I'm just going to download them all, and we're going to go here, and then I go into Cloud Convert, and you can just drag and drop your files here from Cloud Convert. Downloads, and extract the file. And once you got this, you just drag them into Cloud Convert like this, so on and so forth. Click JPG because I use JPG. Good file sizes. I mean, I think you get like 33 conversions per day, and you can always just log into a different account. So now we've got the images. First of all, to note, I've opened a 2000 by 2000 resolution square canvas, transparent background on Photoshop. 2000 by 2000 is perfect. It's big enough to not get impacted by Etsy's new ranking system where they rank based on product image quality, and it's also not so high where you're getting images that are so big they take longer to load for the customer. And one thing which I'll get onto when I export the images later is that you should use a JPG file, and I used 3. Like there's a setting from like 3 to 6 I think on Photoshop that you can use, and 3 is like the perfect spot where it's a small file where it will load quicker on Etsy for your customers. Because you got to imagine, if someone's shopping on Etsy on a bus or whatever, they got bad signal, if your images are loading quicker, they're just going to click on you. So it's always for that little bit there. That's why we do it. So I'm going to first of all make these bigger. However, I'm probably going to change some of them. I'm going to just go through each one, and then I've got to rasterize the layer first because it spawns in as like a smart object or something. I'm going to make sure all of these are central and they're not too big. This one is like the perfect size. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and the way I line it up in the middle, you always want to make sure the object that you're selling is in the middle. You can see it's slightly off center, so it literally just needs to go to the left a little bit, and then there, it's probably in the center now. It's not super important to be this precise, but I just do it because I can, right? And now I've got that extra bit on the side, so I'm just going to use the generative fill to fill that bit in. I'm not sure how long this tutorial is going to be. It normally takes me about an hour and a half to make a mock-up with 5 images. That's not including taking the images. All the same. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly add some brightness. However, I need to move this down a little bit. I think it's a little bit too tall. There we go. And one thing that's always good to do is zoom out and see how it looks from a distance, because this is how it's going to look on the Etsy homepage, or when someone's scrolling and searching for something, they're going to see this. They're not going to see it this big. So it's always better to look from a distance and see how does this look, how does this look good, will it stand out? And I think this looks good so far. I do have my own lighting presets, and I'm just going to actually go ahead and show you what I would change. It doesn't take much. It just takes adding a little bit of contrast just to help it stand out a little bit, because you'll see when I actually remove this, I think the lighting on this image is really good already, but you see when I go ahead and remove this filter, it will look like it's got a grey mask over it when I remove it. So look, you can see now it just looks slightly more dull. I think the contrast is actually pretty good on it. We're just not trying to make it look too saturated like this, because it just doesn't look good. It looks like it's got some weird filter on it, but you can see, like, look at that difference. It looks like it's in the shade when you take the filter off now. Just that small brightness changes. I've already added quite a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and merge those together again, so it just flattens everything down. Doesn't mess anything up when I add the smart object, which is the thing I have to do next. And I'm going to add a smart object, which I'm going to start off with being a rectangle, and I guess we're just going to, I literally have no idea what you would sell on this product, but we're going to imagine it's like a vinyl decal sort of product, I guess. So I'm going to start by just adding this. I'm going to make the stroke a little bit bigger on the rectangle, so, and no fill, and then I go ahead and convert this rectangle to a smart object, and then now you've got your second smart object, which is, this is going to be the design space essentially. And what a smart object allows you to do is just put different designs into the same area consistently, where you can add filters to it and so on and so forth. We're just going to imagine this is a vinyl decal, so like a sticker that's going to be put onto the planter. And I guess we're just going to label it. We can use like a really basic example to begin. By the way, the reason I use this rectangle with the stroke and no fill is so that when I need to, we'll do this in a minute, but when I need to go and adjust the rectangle, so how do I move this? This is annoying. So when I need to move the rectangle like this, whatever, and then move the shape, I've got a clear outline so I know where the outside of the thing is, whereas if I got text in the middle, it's a lot more difficult, so it just helps, basically. So the next step is, first of all, making this rectangle fit into the correct space, which is a skill in of itself, specifically with these objects, which are notoriously challenging to use because it's curved, so we've got to get the curvature right without making it look stupid, because it's very easy to make stuff look stupid here. So we're going to try and avoid that. So first of all, what I'm going to do is we're going to test a couple of things, because it's all testing and seeing what works and looks best. So first of all, by the way, you have to convert to a smart object before you start doing the adjusting. You have to convert it to a smart object before you start doing the adjusting, otherwise this won't work. So convert your rectangle to a smart object first, and then start doing the adjusting like I'm doing now. I'm just trying to make it fit roughly to the edges, and then what I'm going to go ahead and do is hit the edit and then transform and then warp, and then I go to the warp tool, and then now you can see I'm like able to completely transform the shape, where it's like really bendy, whereas before it was only the corners that I could change. So what I'm going to do, this is very difficult to get right because it can often lead to, I'll show you. I'm going to add a text in here to show you what you can quite easily do and do wrong. By the way, a little tip, my mouse has, I don't know if you can see it, but my mouse has 2 buttons on each side, and I use one of the mouse buttons as an enter key, so I don't have to go over to my keyboard and keep clicking enter. So like when I was moving this around, before, and then I go like this. I click enter, and then I'm able to change the color immediately. You can hear the right, I don't have to click OK, I have to click enter, and maybe no one cares about that, but it saves me a lot of time when I do that at least. And you can see already, I realise I think I did it wrong. I'm not too happy with how it looks because it's not meant to come in, which is why you should have the text there all the time, really. I'm just gonna reset this because I did it wrong. I'd probably do it this way, and then yeah, save, and then it's for some reason changed the smart object, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I fixed it now. So anyway, maybe we did one step wrong. I think it depends on what object you're using it on, because you just got to get the shape right, essentially. Just making it all fit to the edges. Now, that's the aim. Everything now is basically perfectionism, because you can see it looks okay, right? It looks fine. This would do as a mock-up. It looks fine. It looks okay. However, specifically with the vinyl decals, it's very difficult to make it look realistic because they're very black. So even when they are real images, they don't look very real because they're black and you can't tell depth. So with the shadows and the lighting, you have to be careful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and add some lighting in the middle of the this smart object, so you can see the lights reflecting directly off the middle, essentially. So if I go to here, I'm going to do Control G to create a group, and then double click on that to get to this, and then if I do Gradient Overlay, and then you can do a slightly lighter color, and it has to be a very small difference, because small difference here looks a lot bigger when it goes over to the original thing. So if I just do this to show you, turns it up to 100, you can already see a slight gradient difference with the lighting. Let's go and make it a little bit more prominent, because again we're trying to do it to where it looks realistic. See, I think this looks slightly better, but what I've done is I realised I think the gradient is on the wrong axis. I think I can't tell because it's such a minute. It's all adjusting from this point. You probably get the gist. However, it's all adjusting, making sure it all looks real. Now, a couple other things. I'm just going to go with a couple of things that you can add. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to make the fully perfected version of these mockups. I'm going to drop it on my website, and in the link below, I'll put the file to this just in case you want to look at the files, my fully finished versions. But there's a couple more things you can add, particularly depending on what your design or whatever is. But you can add like Gaussian blurs. I probably shouldn't have done that, but if you rasterize this, you can do it. So you go to here, Gaussian blur, and then you can add like slight blurs. So it makes it look like maybe if you're doing a t-shirt, then it looks a little bit more realistic if it's slightly blurred. Another thing, I think I didn't save the. So you can do the blur. You can also do, specifically for this, I think it would need it. You can add a little bit of noise, and you can just see this is what it does. So you probably don't want too much, just enough so that it's noticeable. I think with the blur, it kind of has removed your ability to see that. But you can use all these tools. You can go through and test and find out which one you prefer and which one you want to use. And what I'm going to go ahead and do now is go through all of the rest of the images, and I'm going to create new files for each of them, 2000 by 2000, and then go through here and do the exact same process, crop the image, check the lighting, and then add the smart object as a rectangle, or add the rectangle, convert to a smart object, and then do the little bits of adjusting depending on what you're doing. And if you were to do something like engraving on this, then it would be completely different. Like, you need a completely different color, and you also need to work out, you probably use the bevel and emboss tool a little bit depending on what type of engraving you're using. I hope this video was helpful to someone. This is basically my process of how I actually go ahead and create the mockups. And honestly, once you create the first one, it becomes a lot easier because you can literally just go ahead and copy and paste over to the next one once you've got your smart object, and then you just do the adjusting again, and it's a lot quicker because all you got to do is the lighting and then copy and paste the smart object over to the next images. So once you've done the first one, that's a lot of the hard work out of the way, you just copy and paste over to the next listings. So let me change this color back. I would need to adjust the lighting on this a little bit. You can see the lighting, it doesn't look great. And I'd also add some more noise to make it a little bit more dotty, which would make it a little more realistic. But honestly, even this would be fine to an Etsy customer. Even this would be fine. But this is definitely not a finished product for me. So yeah, finished products down below if you want to have a look at the finished images, final images. Make sure to check out edpod.co if you can't be bothered to make these mockups for yourself. I'll make the mockups for you that actually convert and make you a lot of money no matter what products you sell. If you want to sell a t-shirt, you get a fully unique one-of-one mockup that hasn't been sent to any other customers before, nor does anyone else have access to them. So it's fully unique, so it's safe for Etsy. You won't get hit by the handmade policy, you won't get your store taken down because you're using mockups that aren't your product. I'll get your product sent in to me, and then so on, so forth. Really straightforward. Hope this video was helpful. Make sure to subscribe as well if you like this type of Etsy content.